Good evening, folks. A couple of weeks ago, Justice Sonia Sotomayor gave an interview where she confessed that she often goes home at night and cries after working with her Supreme Court counterparts all day. She also stated at that time that she felt there'd be more nights like that coming up. Well, you know what? Last night was probably one of those nights because Justice Sonia Sotomayor, reading from her dissent, stated, quote, relying on little more than its own misguided wisdom, the court gives former President Trump all the immunity he asked for and more, end quote. She then went on to say, quote, because our Constitution does not shield the former president from answering for criminal and treasonous acts, I dissent, end quote. They ruled 6-3 on ideological lines yesterday that former President Donald Trump has immunity for some of his conduct as president, but not unofficial acts in the federal election interference case. Now, what that boils down to is we don't know, because what happens now is the January 6th case under Judge Chutkan, she needs to go back now and hold hearings to see if any of what Donald Trump did falls under the official bucket. But let me boil this down for you so you understand what this ruling does. It not only gives Donald Trump immunity, but all future presidents immunity. So essentially, it basically takes the presidency, and the presidency will now no longer be constrained by the rule of law or the court system, but only by self-policing. So how do you think that's going to work out if Donald Trump wins in November? Because Donald Trump has no intention of following the rule of law. He never has. And now he has broad powers to not follow the rule of law. We already know what Donald Trump is promising. He's promising to build camps so he can house immigrants. He's promising to arrest and detain his political opponents. He's promising to take the civil servant piece of the government and turn it into a political crony group. No more civil servants, only political appointees who are loyal only to Donald Trump and his whims. He has unfettered power now to institute Project 2025 across the board. And there is not a court in the land that will stop him, because all he has to do is construe it as an official act or a quasi-official act. And he's okay. He's in the clear. We have a race now in front of us that boils down to this. One candidate, a former president, who has already abused the powers of his office for his own financial gratification and to try to remain in power by preventing the peaceful transfer to Joe Biden and by inciting an insurrection on January 6, 2021, versus a man named Joe Biden, who is the current president, who came out after this ruling and stated he did not want any more power and he will not participate. The choice couldn't be more clear, folks. Your decision of who to vote for should be crystal clear tonight. We, the people, are the very last line of defense against tyranny come November. We are the last line. The Supreme Court has made it very clear that there is only one way to stop this. And that is by ensuring that Donald Trump does not get a return trip to the White House, and that nobody like Donald Trump is ever elected again. This is it. the justice system has failed democracy. We must not fail democracy. If we fail democracy, we fail ourselves. Because we, the people, are the ones who will suffer under Donald Trump's dictatorial, maniacal rule if he is allowed to return to the White House in November. I do not care if you are a Republican. If you are voting for Donald Trump, you do not love America and you do not care about democracy. If you are an independent and are not going to vote because you don't know what to do, even though it's right in your face, then you are assisting in the dismantling of democracy in America. And I don't need to remind the Democratic Party voters that 55% voting capacity in November isn't going to cut it. It's 70% or better. This must be a landslide victory that cannot be challenged anywhere. We have watched the Republican Party march us towards an anti-democratic authoritarian government using our very system of government. And we must use our system of government and our voting power to see that it stops, because there is no fix for this. There is nothing that can be done to change what the Supreme Court has done. Joe Biden has no power to change it. People talking about constitutional amendments to overturn what they did yesterday and impeaching Supreme Court justices. It takes 2/3 of both the House and the Senate to do either of those things. And I promise you, the GOP, the Leonard Leos, and the right-wing MAGA donators and Donald Trump have built the Supreme Court just for the express purpose of taking us to where we are right now. We must not fail in November. We are the last line of defense, and we must take our role very seriously. Donald Trump must not be elected president. I will talk to you all later.